All right, guys, I am super excited to introduce you to Mel McSherry.
I felt disconnected. I felt like I was going to wake up and this was the day that everybody's going to figure out that I'm a fraud. It just did not feel easeful.
Wait, I got to stop
And
you there. So, after
yeah,
everything that you've gone through, all that success, and all of the indications otherwise, you're still, as a rock star coach, dealing with imposter syndrome at this stage.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Mel, welcome to the Ripple Effect podcast. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. And I got to tell everybody, before we actually came onto the episode, we were having a lovely chat, beforehand about all sorts of things. And one of the things that I want to say right off the bat is I'm just really excited for this conversation because I think you approach coaching a little bit differently than a lot of the folks that I know that are coaches. I like your energy, your enthusiasm. I did my research. I know you're kind of a rock star on the podcasting circuit. I learned that a little bit,
Appreciate
a while
that.
ago, but yeah, you're crushing it in terms of getting your message and sort of your work out there. So let me start by asking, what is it about coaching that really does that for you? How did you choose this as a career path?
Oh, that's a great question. So I've been in different categories of the coaching industry since 2010. I actually started in the fitness industry.
Okay.
And the through line and the theme of what has continued to impress me and continue to motivate me being inside of the coaching industry is meeting somebody already knowing what they're capable of, but they can't see it yet. And by just giving them space, tools, frameworks, information, all of a sudden they see and recognize what you've seen all along. And that look of like, oh, like even in the fitness industry, like I can do a pull up or I can run a 5K to, in the industry, that I'm in now in business side, that full permission to be their full authentic selves and really honor how they want to create the business, the money, and the life that they want. And I just get to have the gift and be the honor of being on this journey with them.
So how did you make that switch from, in the fitness arena, right? And assuming that you started some coaching and sort of getting your feet wet there, but how did that transition happen? And then how did you get to be in love with the whole business side of what you're doing for the coaching clients that you work with?
Yeah, so it was really unexpected because I really thought fitness was it. I'd been very active my entire life. I was a dancer, competitive martial artist, and so forth. And when I found personal training, and especially when I started my own business with it, I really loved it. But the interesting thing was that in 2010, when I started, I didn't have my kiddo. I was newly married. And then in 2011, when my kiddo was born, it, kind of threw a wrench in things very lovingly, but also, oh, I can no longer really travel to my clients' homes because I predominantly, either worked with them inside of their homes or outside at a boot camp, or I had a studio space that I would travel to. And I was married at the time, and his father at the time worked in Major League Baseball
Oh,
in
wow.
the player side for media relations. So he's gone 2 months straight for spring training, worked every other home game, took every other away trip. And with our son being born in the middle of the baseball season, it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually ended up having to take a pause and doing some VA and online PA work, as well as some online medical billing for my father's company, just to kind of figure out, okay, now what do I want? And I do love sharing that part of my story because I think we get this notion that once we decide what we want to do, it's just going to be straightforward. We forget about the plot twists as we move inside of it.
And there are many, right?
There are many, and they're never ending. I'm never not going to have a plot twist, and neither will you. But it's how we embrace them, right, and
Yeah.
really understand what it's there to teach us. And for me, it was, okay, how do I recalibrate my business with being a stay-at-home mom, and so on and so forth. And how that came forward was actually a partnership with an online fitness business called Beachbody. It's a network marketing
Oh
company.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
P90X, like
I
same company, right? That does
exactly.
P90X.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Shanti, the whole nine.
yep,
And I was a little hesitant because I'd been burned by network marketing companies before.
yeah.
So I did my due diligence, and at the time, I really did love their whole stance on fitness, making it accessible, focusing on actual nutrition, not one-trick ponies, not quick fixes. And so I signed on just to purely be an online health and fitness coach. I had no interest whatsoever to do the "Hey girl" messaging, to build a team underneath me. I just wanted to do what I loved. And with that, I was consistently successful rather quickly. And it got the attention of my leader at the time. And she's like, "Look, you're this," we coined myself a married single mom. She's like, "You're this married single mom. You are my most consistent coach. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I didn't really think I was doing anything different. But she's like, "Why don't you do a quick day in the life of Mel and just show us how you work your business every day?" And it was in that moment that I realized what I was doing naturally that was different to others. And that
Yeah.
was I was honoring my time and energy management. So I would wake up in the morning and I would be like, okay, how well did I sleep? How am I feeling? How much energy do I have? Then I would look at, okay, how much time do I have to spend on my business today? And then I would look at my checklist and matched the time and energy that I had. And sometimes that would mean I would break things up into smaller bits. Sometimes that means the top of my list would get moved down 4 or 5 pegs, but it made me feel productive and it made me feel, like accomplished because I'm still checking things off the list. And so when we created that training, she put it in the new coach boot camp, which network marketing is typically predominantly moms and stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home parents. And all of a sudden, her team's productivity just exploded. And
That's awesome.
fast forward a year later, I have a team because people just wanted to work with me. We are in the top 1% of the company for teams. I'm doing this training all throughout Beachbody, as well as, quietly on the side to other network marketing companies. And this was also in the time where I was in the middle of my divorce. And I was figuring out, next plot twist, sweet, what do I want to learn and how do I want to recalibrate? And through Beachbody, I was honored to have a year-long internship under John C. Maxwell, which is the coach of coaches. My father, who's been an entrepreneur for 60 plus years, I grew up listening to John C. Maxwell. And beautifully, I got to have a group phone call with him once a month for a year. And that's what pushed me over of, ooh, yes, fitness is brilliant and it's a funnel, but man, to work with just a human as a whole and work inside of not only for themselves personally, but also professionally, this sounds legit. So I ended up getting my certification through him and his international leadership team. Left Beachbody in 2016, created my business coaching in 2017, focusing on profit prioritization and time and energy management. And I worked in a very traditional way, did it very, very well. And then in 2019, I was finding myself at a really interesting spot, which was on paper, crushing it, hitting the 6 figures. I think I spoke over 200 times in about 2.5 years. I'm getting paid to travel overseas to speak and to facilitate workshops. Like, I'm living it. And I felt disconnected. I felt like I was going to wake up and this was the day that everybody's going to figure out that I'm a fraud. It just did not feel easeful.
Wait, I got to stop
And
you there. So, after
yeah,
everything that you've gone through, all that success, and all of the indications otherwise, you're still, as a rock star coach, dealing with imposter syndrome at this stage.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And to the point to where I I almost had like this inner battle of I know this is what I want to do, but how I'm creating this still doesn't feel mine. And I didn't know how to advocate for that. I didn't know how to voice that because I wasn't really sure where it was coming from or if it was true. Because so often we get kind of dulled, our feelings get dulled down to those one liners of, oh, well, it's just outside your comfort zone or, da 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 da. And
Coaches
I
love
knew
those
it was,
one-liners, by the way.
I
I
know,
mean,
right? God, we have t-shirts and tattoos a go-go.
yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and coffee mugs. And it was interesting because in 2020, that's when human design found me.
Yeah.
And I'll get into what that is in a second, but I was at my very first spiritual retreat in Sedona, Arizona, and if you're not gonna have a spiritual retreat in Sedona, Arizona, I don't know what you're doing. Um, and a person who was, attending that with me brought it up in one of the sessions, and so I went down a rabbit hole that night in my bedroom, downloaded my chart, started reading all my elements, and sobbed because
Wow.
it was me. And it wasn't me in a sense of, oh, I see pieces of me in this story, or, oh, yeah, this resonates, but this doesn't. It was 1,000% who I am, where my energy comes from, showing me where I went too far, and really letting me know my pace and my sustainability inside of my success and why it wasn't feeling like my success.
So let me stop you right there because I want to get a
Yeah.
clarification just so my audience can follow this. So you left Beachbody
Mhm.
now, and I just want to clarify: were you actually working under the Maxwell coaching system at that point, offering their programs, or had you taken what you learned and were doing it out on your own? And but still at this kind of pivot point, starting to question, hey, is this a direction I really want to go?
Great question. It was my frameworks. So I took what John and his team taught and continue to teach because they have a great amount of resources
Sure.
and customized it to, well, I'm going to be honest, customized it to my mentor's framework, not my own.
Which is
So yeah, it
perfectly
was
fine. I mean,
great.
there are no original ideas, quite honestly, right? But
No.
I think it's an important piece to call out because you're here at this point of your entrepreneurial journey, and that's what you
Mhm.
are, right? You're a
Mhm.
coach, but really you are a business builder,
Mhm.
and you are now starting to, which I think as a coach, you'll certainly recognize this, and people that have listened that have had coaching when you get to a certain level of success, sometimes we just start looking around and we're like, is this it? Is this all there is? Or is this, what I'm going to do for the next 10 or 15 years? And really
Yeah.
successful entrepreneurs do go inward, right? And do exactly what you did, which was to say, look, I need to go on this retreat. I need to do some, potentially heavy lifting on the inside to see if where I'm
Mhm.
at is kind of passing the sniff test for me going forward. So is that a
Yeah.
fair assumption?
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting that I love that you said that because yes, that that is something that is extremely important and that we all should do. But what's interesting is that we're not taught to do that.
No,
We're
you should just
taught
take what is
to
being given. Don't look a gift horse in the
exactly
mouth, right?
copy and
Yeah.
paste, look for the next expert, just, keep looking ahead
Keep
instead of
working. Yep.
looking inward. And the sooner that we can get comfortable doing that, because let's face it, it's not comfortable. At times, it's much easier to be like, please, Yoda, tell me what to do, as opposed to, ooh, why does this feel crunchy? What about this isn't working for me? And taking time to process that. And that is what really came forward for me when I started utilizing human design for myself quietly in 2020 after I left that retreat to when I came out of the spiritual closet on LinkedIn in 2023 because I everybody who feels called to needs to know this tool, especially entrepreneurs, because it's such a game changer when it comes to building that unshakable trust in yourself that we're not always born with. Some of us are beautiful, a lot of us aren't.
Very,
And
very few are, but quite honestly, born with that intuitively, right? And the tool you're
exactly.
talking about is human design. So,
Yes.
I just clarifying. Okay.
Yeah. So with human design, it's it gives you you. It shows you you to a point where it's not to be demeaning or disruptive. It's meant to give you that validation and confirmation of what you always knew to be true, but didn't have the vernacular or awareness of why. And then steps on how to shift it. Like when I started using it as a lens to look at how I was building my business, I wasn't necessarily doing anything wrong. I was just going too far or starting too soon. And that's why I was burning out. That's why I was having these flashes of, yeah, I'm going to get it done. And then 2 weeks of, if I have a light bulb on right now, I'm going to punch somebody. And And it showed me why I was experiencing that and what I could shift to honor my energetic capacity, my energetic boundaries, as well as really connect to and utilize my individual strengths and strategies so I have that sustainability.
So you touch on something there that I don't want to just pass by, because I think it's an important point for people to really pay attention to. You're a professional. You're helping people navigate this on a daily basis. Your clients are, going through it. You identify and understand it. And here you are as a coach, sort of running into the same struggles, that you see every day with the clients you serve. The two things that I think that are really powerful is you just mentioned burnout, right? As being,
Mhm.
you are feeling burned out, uninspired, and struggling. And, and going back to the word earlier, imposter syndrome, where like, oh my God, everybody's going to kind of figure out that I don't know what's going on. The thing that I really love and respect and admire about what you did at that point was that you recognized that you were a little bit in crisis and you needed to do
Mhm.
something to understand why is that happening, uh,
Mhm.
what are some of the factors that are leading to it, and ultimately what am I going to do about it, which I think ultimately is what you're uncovering through the use of this tool, right?
Yeah, and thank you for that. It's not easy when you do hit on paper and or, virtually, because with social media and everything else, it's very easy to think everybody's, got it together.
Yeah.
To
You mean
moving
they
more.
don't?
I know, it's shocking. Just stay with me, Steve. Stay with me.
Yeah.
I promise you it's true. Um, but yeah, and I feel we are moving more into that authenticity of it's no longer about selling the lifestyle. It's no longer about, oh, do these 6 things and you'll get 60K in 60 seconds. People are learning that that is not sustainable. And so then that question is, well, what is? And then even deeper, well, what is sustainable for me? And we are coming into this really beautiful new layer of entrepreneurship where it's not about the performance. It's about the personality. It's about the true persona, not the masked one that you think is going to call in the people that want to work with you. We want to know when our guides, our coaches, our colleagues are struggling because it makes us feel seen. And the more that I started leaning into that, sharing, not that I don't share my successes, because you definitely, absolutely should share your successes. And don't be afraid to share your struggles, even when you're still in sight of them. If you don't have a solution, that's okay. Because by just sharing that, of look, I am huddled in the corner crying right now. I know this is gonna pass. I'm not sure how or when, but I just, let's talk about that. Yeah. Who else is huddling in a corner right now? Let's cry together.
Yeah.
And it's that camaraderie that is really becoming prevalent in entrepreneurship that I'm really excited about. And in order for that to truly be what it can be and should be, it starts with us coming back to that authenticity for ourselves and trusting how we are built, how we are designed to create what we want, and also how to share that as well and not be even looped into, oh, well, you have to be on social media, you have to do this. No, even inside of your chart shows you your best practices and your best avenues for sharing who you are and what you do.
That's awesome. So the tool essentially aligns with who you are at your core and
Yes,
helps you bring visibility of all the things maybe you're either hiding from or things that you haven't really looked at as strengths or opportunities,
absolutely.
not just for improvement, but opportunities to maximize and expand upon the tool gives you a genesis to start anew, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to call it your operations manual. We don't think we were born with one, and we were. Human design is you and always will be you. It never changes. It never, a lot of people like to equate it as a personality test, which I think that kind of dulls it a little. Because a lot of those other quote unquote personality tests change as you change because you answer the questions differently. Whereas human design, this is your foundation. This is who you were the minute you were born and who you will continue to be and how you will continue to connect and deepen that foundation to yourself and evolve with you. And I love that because it's not something that you learn and forget. I've been incorporating it for 5 years. In fact, the person who brought it forward says it takes an average of 7 years for you to fully incorporate your human design. And I love that because it's not pressured. It's here's you. Here's okay, with my clients, once we have a reading, it's all right, with this new awareness, what is the first thing you want to shift? And it's usually just something little like, oh, I don't have the capacity to follow up, follow up, follow up, nor am I supposed to. So I'm going to make an automation where I invite people to spend time with me in virtual coffees or so on and so forth. And it just helps you hone in what you've already established and customize it so it supports you as you continue to be present and be profitable emotionally, mentally, energetically, and financially.
Hey Ripplers, before we jump back in, I want to take a quick moment to share 2 ways you can go even deeper with us. First, if you're enjoying this podcast, you'll love our paid subscription offers on both Substack and Patreon. That is where you'll get exclusive content, behind the scenes insights, and extra resources about connections and relationships that you won't read anywhere else, plus a few little other ditties. It's a great way to support the show and stay connected between episodes. And let's be honest, if you're craving something even more immersive, and who isn't, check out our Connect and Grow Ripple coaching program. Man, this is a full year of coaching, content, and community designed to help you become a more engaged connector and leader in both life and business. I love this program. I think you will too. You'll join a vibrant community of like-minded Ripplers to gain access to master classes led by dynamic experts, including me, attend live workshops, group coaching sessions, and get the accountability and actionable strategies you need to build more meaningful relationships to create an even bigger ripple effect out there in the world, which who doesn't want that? You can find the links in the show notes to sign up today. Hope to see you over there. Ripple on.
There's so much to unpack there that I love the approach that you take and sort of the direction that you use to leverage this as a tool for better understanding of yourself. And ideally for you as a way to step up to the plate to figure out where you can best align as a coach to help that person get to where they want to go. You said something that really strikes me as unique in that it's it's not designed to be a one-stop shop, quick fix kind of approach, right? With 7 years, it's a journey and it's a process. And as well as I do, every coach, I mean, we could probably go to our local Starbucks and we could throw a rock and hit 3 coaches just like, and it would bounce off them and hit 9 consultants, right? Everybody has a tool and a resource. Like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. You're the first coach that I've ever talked to that actually has a tool and a resource and has gone through it exactly like you were explaining in a way that actually says, look, this is actually, it's a journey. You're going to learn some stuff about you that you probably didn't expect. There are going to be some things that are probably, misnomers that you didn't, anticipate. And there'll be some things that probably feel really in alignment, but we're not going to eat the elephant in one meal, right? We're not going to be able to attack it. It's not like, woo, I'm fixed, right? And that's where I think that a lot of, and I'm not taking anything away from other coaches. I think intentions are always there and pure, but really at the end of the day, everybody's got these tools that are like, well, this is why you communicate this way, or why you've gone through breakups and relationships, or why you keep losing your job. And it's your core energy, and it's your, it's the way you communicate, it's the way you see people and all these things. And I think that people get desensitized to the fact that these tools, when they're kind of one-stop shops, like Myers-Briggs, like, well, crap, I'm an asshole. Nobody wants to deal with me. That's what Myers-Briggs says. Well, how am I going to fix that? Right. Well,
Right.
hey, as a coach, I'll try to help you not be an asshole, but you probably are going to continue to be that. I think
Right.
the reason that I'm spending as much time saying what I'm saying is because I think that this is a different type of approach from a tool perspective. It's designed to be an evolution. And, I used the word Genesis the other day, but really this rebirth, or the other day, yeah, a few minutes ago, meaning that this is a way for you to like start anew and look at where you are today, where you want to go potentially, and what you want to accomplish. But you're not going to eat the whole elephant in one setting, and it's not a one size fits all kind of fix, right?
Exactly. And even inside of that, what we choose, what you choose to do, and how you ask me to support you is just an experiment. That's not even guaranteed, because human design is all about, yes, there's information there that's, I don't want to use the term set information, but there's information there that is assigned to certain things. And what I have seen people do is they take that one bit of information. So for example, there's 5 energetic types inside of human design. And human design, because, and we chatted about this earlier, is becoming a little bit more known, but it's being more known on Instagram, and therefore I'm calling it's becoming Instagrammable, where people are taking one bit and then making massive decisions off of, oh, I'm a generator, I can't do this. Oh,
Yeah.
no, not true.
Back
Because
the
they
bus
don't,
up, Gus. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because they don't understand the layers. I call human design the ultimate onion of personal development, because there's
Oh,
so many layers and they all work together, but also they work inside of your own space, your environment, your culture, your conditioning. And so it's a constant, and not in a draining way, but it's a constant place to play and experiment, and then glean what you need and go, "Oh, okay. So my bad, went too far again. Here's where I remember to stop. Now with that information, let's proceed." So it's a perpetual permission. I'm going to be illiterate. I love alliteration, by the way. It's that perpetual permission to play, and know that you're playing from a place that is from you first, not from a, frick around and find out. I don't know if I can say the F word,
yeah.
or throw
Oh, yeah.
spaghetti at the wall. Yeah, so
F-bombs
fuck
are
around
like
and find
totally
out.
appropriate here. So,
Um, but from that place of, ooh, I do know this to be true, but I'm not sure if this is how that is. So we're going to put it into play. We're going to get more information. And then from there, we're going to go, oh, okay, now that I know this to be true with this backup information, let's proceed, or let's shift and evolve and move on.
yeah, the thing I think I really personally, just for just full transparency to my audience, it's actually a term that I've heard of, but I'd never ever looked into it. So I'm really really grateful that you brought this up. And human design. I mean, talking about the assessment, I knew of it, I think, in passing from other coaches that I've talked about, but nobody has ever sort of gone into it with as much fervor as you have. And I love the fact that this is a tool that, kind of going back to where you started, which was, that moment. I loved how you, you use the visual of, sort of being in the corner crying, right? You weren't necessarily that, but you were evaluating where you wanted to go, what you wanted to do, and how to attack the imposter syndrome. What would be, I'll ask you 2 things, right? What was one thing that you discovered early on when you took the human design and you went through the process that that gave you confidence to continue to move forward, but to evaluate the business differently? And then what's one thing that you're like, I didn't expect that to come out, and now I don't really want to look at it, but I really kind of forced myself to do that over the course of however many years that I'm going to be working through this process?
Oh, those are great questions. So the first thing that made sense, I like to call it my universal facepalm, is, so when I was working with my traditional mentor, it was very hustle, right? It was mid 2000s, very hustle mentality. You initiate, you follow through. You're the one that has to build the table, build the chair, all of the things. And that is typically indicative to a type that's called generator, which has copious amounts of natural energy. I am what's called a projector. I have no natural energy source. In fact, I am I can go in spurts, but I receive my energy from others. So the reason why I was burning out was because I was networking so much, speaking so much, being with people so much that I was taking their energy, not draining them, but receiving energy from them and not giving myself any time or space to rest or dispel it until I crashed. And
So
that was
let me ask you. So that would be the equivalent of leaving your iPhone or your Android phone on a charger all the time. You're constantly plugged in, and eventually that battery is going to lose some of its luster because you're overcharging it.
Exactly. And I saw it as motivation. I saw it as, ooh, look at me go. And my mentor was like, yeah, look at you go. And then again, like I said, then I would hit moments where it would be a week sometimes where I just wouldn't want to smile, talk to anybody. If I had to lift my eyebrows, I'd be pissed. Like it was just, and I didn't know. And to me, then I was punishing myself because I wasn't being consistent. And with
And as an
that, when I
entrepreneur, you're probably also mad at yourself because you're like, you should not be feeling this way because you're in the middle of success and this is what you signed up for and what you wanted, right? So why am I
yeah,
not
look at all
happy?
you've accomplished. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that just weird battle. And then when I found out my energetic type, it was just,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
okay. Thank you for that validation, confirmation, and awareness of where I went too far. And then with that, it helped me, as I mentioned before, have a new lens to look at my processes. So I looked over, the first thing actually I did was look over all 200 plus speaking events that I had been at the last 2 years. And when I looked at which were the ones that were the most profitable to me mentally, emotionally, energetically, and financially, 99.9% of them were because I was invited to them. And that is my strategy as a projector. It's wait to be recognized and invited. And so then when I saw those things work together, I'm like, oh, so it does work. I've done it before. And we all do. We naturally work and live inside of our design every day. It's innate. What happens, as I mentioned before, is that we don't know when to stop or we start too soon. And so we overwhelm, overextend ourselves. And so with that, it really helped me look at all of my funnels, all of my da 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 da's, and really honor the capacity I have. Did it happen overnight? No, that guilt factor was fierce, like fierce. And it took me a while to really fully trust that this is how I'm designed to create what I want. But again, every time I would go back to almost that internal market research of, well, hey, remember your most profitable decision was because you were invited to this and then you talked to that. And it was my design playing itself out verbatim.
That,
And probably,
that's awesome.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that's awesome. I'm just like sitting here in awe of you. I mean, this is fantastic.
Thank you. And I would say probably the more difficult and I'll just say difficult areas was so in human design, I mentioned that one of the systems it utilizes is the chakra system. Is we have areas called centers. So centers are located over 9 different chakras. Some of them are open, which means we receive information from them. We're not meant to react from them. They're just receptors. And then we have defined centers, which is where we're supposed to send that information to get defined and funneled. What I was doing, because I only have 2 out of the 9 centers defined, so I am open to open, is I was using those open centers as defined centers. I was using them to condition to always be on, to speak before I'm invited. Not in a rude way, but oh, if I don't speak now, they're not going to know my value. They're not going to understand me. They're not going to hire me. And that is all of the open centers being utilized in the incorrect way.
And a big indicator
And
of imposter syndrome, right? I'm going to make sure you pay attention to me because
and I could see where it was
I don't want to be
coming from.
rejected. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really fascinating.
And so I love spending time in centers with my clients because that is where those negative Nancy's come from, is not only the conditioning of what we think we should do and what we've been told we should do or who we should be, but also it gives you questions to help retract that, to help move it away from a reaction space and move it into a receptor, and how to then take that information and really understand is this mine or is this Betty's who's sitting across from me, or my father, whatever trauma you want to insert trauma here.
Yeah.
And it's really helped my clients because, again, they can see it. It's not some grandiose big idea that they go, okay, sure, it's in my heart, makes sense. They can see it. And not only can they see it, they have the questions and the prompts to explore it for themselves, not me, a scripted prompt, but for them to really explore it, connect to it, and understand the wisdom that it gives them, and pull away from that conditioning and from those responses that has continuously created cycles for themselves that they didn't even know they started.
I think it's fascinating because the way you started in coaching, which was fitness and about the physical body and the outcome and performance, right? You're still in fitness coaching. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's still very much in terms of the body. I know we'll have a few people, just because I know my audience, that there will be some people like, oh, it's that energy crap. Like, oh my God, let me roll the eyes. I just had someone that I'm working with, a fairly new client that, certainly not talking about it at the capacity that you are. I probably should just give you this client, quite honestly. But we were talking about, it's like, where you hold that stress. And I said, it's your physical body is a really good indicator of just how healthy you are physically and mentally, and where you absorb those things. And so for people that are rolling their eyes like about energy, there is some truth to this. When I'm stressed, I'm frustrated, I end up having, this manifestation of, my back, is prone to be thrown out. My knees hurt because I've got bad knees because I've been an athlete my entire life. There are things in your neck that basically are indicators. And what Mel's talking about in terms of that energy is where you hold on to that stuff, right? And where you reside. And yes, the chakras are well documented. You should go and explore it because we have it from head to toe. These zones are a pretty good indicator of really where you are in this moment right now, what you're holding on to, where your anxiety lives, where these past traumas or frustrations, even your wins. But part of understanding and appreciating, and you tell me if I'm incorrect here, Mel, but when you can figure out how to tap into these beautiful areas of energy, these beautiful things that have that help inform, and you put that as more of the focus. We as natural human beings tend to always gravitate to the negative. We always tend to hold on to the worst of the worst. And that has a way of manifesting in your chakra in a way that is not supportive of anybody. So being able to understand and tap into that and figure out how to stem the tide a little bit and convert some of that challenge, some of those challenges that you're experiencing into more of a positive potential experience has such a huge benefit to not only your self-confidence and your mental acuity and creativity and innovation, but also in just how you show up for yourself in the moment.
Absolutely.
Which to me, it seems like that's one of the big revolutionary things from the human design model.
Yeah. And the way that I love to approach it is, and when you were saying there's a bunch of, coaches, there's also a bunch of human design practitioners, and we all approach it differently. There are some that do a lot of the woo-woo, Reiki, and like they have different elements to it that they like to add from their own tool belt.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's their
absolutely not. Yeah. And that's what I love about it. I love that if somebody listens to me and they want more of that, hit me up. I can introduce you to a lot of amazing practitioners. And that's what I love about it is, and the same, mirrored in coaching, it's your unique perspective and the way that you apply it that makes you you. And because I was so traditionally taught, and also I grew up in an entrepreneurial household, I love being that bridge between, from science to spirituality, and then from spirituality to structure. They all actually are the same thing. Spirituality started and stemmed from science, and a lot of things inside of spiritual circles has now been proven by science. And I think we've gotten so conditioned and so used to separating all three of those. It's like a separation of personal development and business development. I don't think that exists either. And so it's understanding everything is connected to each other. If you only have the capacity to focus on one, that makes sense. But when you're trying to compartmentalize to a place where you negate something because you don't believe it, which that's your prerogative, it's still there. And the way that I approach human design is, yeah, I have some more clients that love to do the oracle card pulls, that love to talk about crystals, and I love nerding about that too. But I also have my clients who just love that they see themselves, that I mirror them, and I give them that space to be that lens for their business, to look at their message, to help them create a signature talk, to look at their funnels and all of those things. And so, as well as when they have a shit day, I can hold space for that as well. And I can give them, support however they ask for it, of where this is located, how we can move through it, and so on and so forth. So um, it is bridging that gap between spirituality and structure. And I love to say it also bridges that gap between intuition and action.
I can see why you are super successful as a coach. I can see it come through in your eyes and your energy about why this type of work lights you up. And I like the fact that you're like, hey, look, yes, I'm sort of got this business side, and I can produce and help, those folks that are looking for those outcomes, those more sustainable business success outcomes. But really, those things, even if you find them, if you're not really figuring out on this other side of the coin, what makes you tick and why it makes you tick and what you're really, really best at in terms of what really drives you to get out of bed every day and not just making copious amounts of money or, building this tech company or whatever. It's about showing up as your true, authentic, intended self. And I love how you mentioned the human design, approach as being really that owner's manual that we're all lacking. Like, we did not get it. We don't know. For many of us, myself included, we often look at, well, you're screwed up or fucked up over in this side because, of your upbringing and your childhood or past traumas and all these experiences. And those things do have a play there, right? And they do,
absolutely,
like we said,
absolutely,
they hold in your body in a big, big way. But you have to do the heavy lifting and have the courage to be able to, be engaged with someone like yourself to say, I know I'm a train wreck. I know I've got challenges. I got problems. I also have this other side of me that is super successful. And on the outward, when I'm on the gram, I'm showing the world like I'm rocking it. And I'm still that scared, individual that really wants to rock himself to sleep in the corner because doesn't believe he, should be there. Yeah. I think this is important for my audience to hear that, because I don't care where you come into this conversation that Mel and I are having. Recognize that you have to put in some work and you have to have some of these things uncovered for you to really recognize and appreciate the life that could be, or the possibility of what you have been ignoring and where that could steer you. Does that feel like a fair assessment in terms of the type of overall coaching outcome, that not only the model that you're using, but really the kind of approach that you're taking with the clients that you serve?
Absolutely. It's always about me meeting them where they are at the day. It's not about, let's create your 5-year goal plan, or what would you like to accomplish by the end of the month?
Yeah.
Like I do have clients who have their copious sticky notes, who have their whiteboards, who have their goals. And I do love that too. There's part of me that I love a good system. Yeah. And are we ensuring that how you are implementing that system or reaching those goals sustainably yours? And it's in that, I love that I meet clients even in different stages of their business. I have clients who have been in their businesses 1 to 2 years, and they realize the importance of trusting themselves sooner rather than later, which is gorgeous. I also have clients who have owned their businesses 7 to 15 years, and they've realized that they've never, when I speak about especially mental, emotional, and energetic profitability, they're like, what? I have no idea what that is. And I'm at the top of my company, or I have this, multi-million-dollar thing in place. And I feel off. Does this have to keep it up to maintain my identity? What is my identity? Oh. And then it just kind of snowballs from there, because they just, not blindly, but they just followed the checklist. They did the steps. They did everything, quote unquote, correctly that they were taught to do. And as I mentioned earlier, we aren't taught to check in on ourselves. We're just taught to find, set the goal, find the person who's going to tell you how to get there, and do the steps.
Let me just interject there, because I think what you just hit on is absolutely imperative for the audience to hear, is that the vast majority of us have never been conditioned to ask for help, right? No. Especially if you're in a leadership role or you are the entrepreneur and you're building your business, you automatically by default take on that role of the person with all the answers, and we know you don't have them.
Absolutely. And it's even an added stress when you're in the coaching industry, because I'm sorry, if you don't have the answers, then why am I paying you to give me said answers? Yeah. And so it is also in that identity almost crisis of, and again, going back to my story, I had those moments of, ooh, what if I don't have the solution? Not that John Maxwell ever taught us that's what coaching was, but I conditioned myself to that because my mentor's like, no, keep them in the framework, keep them, don't give them to anybody else, don't tell them about other experts, just keep it in your formula. And it was something that I hardly ever did inside of sessions. So then I felt guilty about, because I'm like, well, maybe I don't know. It can turn again into this snowball of, well, this is what I'm told I should do, but this is what I want to do. But I can't do that because I should do, it's just this constant second guessing yourself. And when you feel that pull of what you want to do, I get asked often, what is the one piece of advice that you love to tell people? And the one piece I love to say is trust yourself. You really can. It might be awkward. You might have never been able to do it ever, and that's going to take practice. But as I said before, you naturally live and work inside of your human design. I've never had somebody have a reading with me and go, what? Like that doesn't. I see instead their shoulders drop, them taking a deep breath and going, oh, I'm not lazy. I'm not crazy. I can do 7 things at once because I'm a manifesting generator. Good, because I was wondering why anytime somebody told me to niche down, I wanted to throw up. Like it just gives you that permission, as I've mentioned before. And so it's within that we can expand even further than what frameworks provide for us.
It's almost holiday time, and one of the best gifts that you could possibly buy your friends, your family, your employees, your coworkers, or maybe just random strangers. You want to just hand out awesome stuff. This book right here makes it excellent gift. I can personalize it for you. I've got quantity discounts. If you reach out to me, I can talk to you about that. If you go to ripplecentral.com and head on over to the shop, you'll see how affordable this amazing, life-changing, career-changing book can be for you to give as a gift. Little bow on top of this thing, and you're like, hey, let me cast a stone. Let me create some ripples. Let's do it. Ho, ho, ho. In the holiday spirit. Let's get people rippling in the upcoming holiday season. The Ripple Effect, maximizing the power of relationships for your life and business. The 3rd edition by yours truly, Steve Harper, available exclusively at ripplecentral.com. Technically, that's not true. You could get it at Amazon, but those guys keep tearing up my inventory. Like literally, I send them the books and then they tear them up and then they send them back and they want me to send them new books. Don't like that. Big corporate, big box BS going on over there. Just go to ripplecentral.com. I will ship it directly to you. No bows included, because you don't want my bows. They're no good. They don't look good at all. 3rd graders probably do better bows than me. But the book, awesome, and makes an excellent gift. Holiday gift. It's almost that time, my friends. The Ripple Effect and some of our other things in the shop might just tickle your fancy to give as a gift this holiday season.
Mel, I could talk to you literally all day about this. I mean, you mentioned the word nerd a couple of times. I would nerd out on this stuff so much. We will definitely have to continue this conversation at some point. I'm very, very impressed. I was impressed before we even started recording, but I've got to say, there are certain people that I interview that I know that like, you can just tell like they should be doing something potentially other than what they're there to talk about. Or, they're like, yeah, this is my flavor of the day. You not only set this up in such a beautiful way, but you walked us through your entrepreneurial journey in such a very special way. And it gave, for me and hopefully the audience, a really strong insight as to how you've arrived at the work you do. And how and why you are successful at being the coach that you are. I think that, I want to honor and hold space for, I know a lot of coaches, and there are very few that have the spark plug energy that you do, and the enthusiasm and the desire to really make the kind of ripple impact that you really are clearly doing. So my hat's off to you for sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's the best. That's such a great compliment, and I receive it wholly. So thank you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, I always like to. So we are definitely going to do a follow up. So you're stuck with me. We're going to have to do this. I'm trying to figure out. I need to book a session with you myself because I'm an
There
absolute
you
train wreck. No, but I would like to explore that at some point and talk
Yeah.
further. But as I like to do with all these interviews, we spend a lot of time talking about your work, a lot of time giving people an idea and an impression of kind of your coaching. And we're going to share your contact details at the very end. But I'd like people, we always ask these ripple connection questions. These are questions that are fun to ask and hopefully fun to answer to a certain degree, to give our audience just a little bit more insight as to who you are as an individual. Are you game?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, sweet. So first and foremost, aside from the coaching, the models and everything that you do, what do you think it is inside of you that makes you a badass entrepreneur? Because you grew up around entrepreneurs. It sounds like an entrepreneurial home. So what is it that's unique to Mel as a badass entrepreneur?
I am naturally curious and nosy on people's processes and inspirations. Like I love having conversations with people, not from a place of, coercion or I'm going to convert you, you convert me, but more of interesting. Walk me through that. Like every time I say that, my friends always giggle because they know I'm just like, that's completely different. And I'm not judging you. And also, how did we get here?
Yeah.
And so with that, that's what human design is such satiates that for me so much because I get to see people.
Yep.
And every chart I go, oh, that's cool. They might not think this is cool yet, but this is cool. And it tickles that itch of I just really love to understand people, get insight into their processes and how they think and what inspires them.
I love that. That's a great, great answer. So we have a sense of how you do what you do, and obviously sort of this, arrival to this point within your career. But how does Mel relax when she's not coaching and being, a super badass entrepreneur and coach?
I am a hermit in human design, which means I need my disassociation time. And luckily, I have a partner who is the same. So we love to just veg out on the couch. We're both huge sci-fi nerds and video game people. So sometimes he's playing a video game. I'm on TikTok being silly, or we're rewatching Lord of the Rings for the gazillionth time. So yeah, I'm definitely a huge nerd, and also spending time, with my kiddo and the way he nerds out because he's autistic, so he has some nerding out that he loves to
Love
do.
that. Yeah.
So it's all of that of all three of us understand that we like parallel play is clutch in our house. But it's really about finding those quiet moments and just how can I disassociate, disconnect, but also still be connected to my loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah, you're holding space for them, but you don't actually have to be entertaining and or engaged fully.
Yeah,
right?
don't have to
You're
be
doing
on.
your thing, they're doing their thing, and that works out great.
Yeah.
So as a sci-fi nerd, what is the one sci-fi book or movie that that most sci-fi people out there would not know to go watch or read? What's like one of your super secret favorites?
My go-to, and I don't think it's secret, but it might be. My go-to series is called The Dresden Files. It's by James Butcher. There's actually 15 of them, but they're not like Wheel of Time, 1,000 pages, 15 books, which I'm staring at the first 4 that I still haven't read yet. They're, 250, 300 pages. And the thing that I love about them is, so the main character, his name is Harry, and he's a modern day wizard in Chicago. And he helps the Chicago police solve crimes and things like that. But there's also a very beautiful understory about his background and his history. And Butcher puts in, I'm a huge one-liner person. I'm constantly quoting movies or songs in daily conversation. And I love that he throws in lines from Ghostbusters or Monty Python or things like that make me
That's
giggle.
awesome.
So if you love just a really beautiful light read, but still, it's got some width or some heaviness to it in a way, then I would definitely suggest reading the Dresden Files by James Butcher.
All right, that I'm going to put it on my list. I know a lot of people that listen to this will absolutely do the same. And you are really good with one-liners. I will tell you, you dropped a few during our conversation today, and it made me smile and laugh. And in fact, at one point, I was going to ask you, so if you weren't doing what you're doing now, when is the comedy tour taking place? Because you're really funny. But if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing?
So theater actually was my first passion, which I'm sure is so shocking. And also I was a singer back in the day. So going back to musical theater, which, I'm only 44, definitely can still
Yeah,
happen.
lots of time. Yeah.
Oh, lots of time. Absolutely. But yeah, if I wasn't doing this, I would probably still be trying my hand at doing musical theater.
I love that. So one of the questions I like to always ask, but I'm going to throw a different bent on it, if you will. But, what is the one message, if you could put that on a billboard where everybody would see it on their way to work or on their way to school, both on the way and on the way home, what would be your message? But I'm going to frame it differently. What would that message be for your son?
Oh, dang, Steve.
I said there were no gotchas, but I just
that one got me. I said this earlier, and it's something I say to him as well, because obviously I know his human design, so being able to guide him through it, is that trust yourself. And his impulsivity is beautiful and is meant to be experimental, is meant to give him information, not to punish him because he did something wrong. So yeah, it still comes back to that. Just trust yourself and inform people about it. Like, just like, hey, I tried this didn't work, or I'm feeling this, these are my thoughts. So probably that wasn't really necessarily a one-liner, but it's definitely that to sum it up, of trust yourself and let people know where you're going and how you want to get there.
I love that. And, not only is it a message for him, but for everybody that hears you speak, I think that's really, really powerful. I mean, great line for sure. When you hear the words, the ripple effect, what does that mean to you? What does that conjure up for you?
I mean, I love it first and foremost because I think we forget about it. We just look at the instantaneous connections that we can have, or the instantaneous results that we can provide. And we forget that we probably won't see 90% of the effect we actually have on people. And if we thought more about that, of not only how is this affecting me and the person in front of me, but 5 people behind them, I think it would really hinder a lot of outside talk that should be inside thoughts, or spend more time pausing and going, why do I want to do this? What do I want out of this? So having more of that outward awareness that, yes, you are the singular most important person in your life and in your business. Absolutely. And you are one person in a collective of a billion. And we all, going back to science, are connected through frequencies, through energies, through all of the things. So understanding how you present yourself, how you step into the day, the space, whatever, it is more than just about you. It's about how can you create an effect to where, 7 degrees or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon later, somebody's like, hey, I know you. I don't know you personally, but I know you because of XYZ. So leaning into the beauty into that and letting go of that, because it's when we let go that the ripple effect goes even further than when we try to block it in.
Oh, I love that. That's a fantastic answer to that question. Thank you for that. What ripple can I be looking to create for you?
I mean, this podcast is definitely a part of it, right? I think having that connection that we've had and the great conversation, it's already started, and it's going to naturally progress with whoever you meet, who you want to introduce me to, and who I meet that I want to introduce you to. And it's a powerful effect because we are starting from a place of authenticity. I'm yes, I'm here to talk about myself, Audvi, and I'm here to do it in a way to where I can connect with people, not to sell myself, not to sell my story, not to sell my services. It's come to get to know me. And if I'm cool, then let's see if you're cool, and let's go from there. So this podcast has definitely started, and again, I'm sure the connection that we will have, because I joke around with people that once I meet you and I like you, you're stuck with me for life until you either tell me to fuck off and die or block me from all social media, and even then, I might like kind of weasel my way back in. So I'm excited to see how we continue to connect with each other and support each other, and it's all because you have this great space that you created.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I absolutely tell people the same thing. I mean, you're kind of stuck with me as a friend, so there's so much more we can nerd out about. I promise you, we're going to have many, many great conversations. And I definitely, one of the goals behind this podcast is to bring awareness to people who might not get to meet some of the awesome people like yourself that are out there doing amazing work, that are creating positive ripples. And I can tell beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are making a huge dent in the universe with the work that you do. And just by you being who you are in terms of showing up, it's the professional side, but we also see the glimpse of who you are at your core. And I love that because you are exactly who you want the world to see, and not a lot of people do that. And I think that's a high compliment to you for how you show up and the kind of authentic person you are. And I'll be perfectly honest, I learned you'd been on like 60 podcasts. I'm like, oh crap, I'm like, this is gonna be tough. I don't know if I can do it, right? And you made the conversation so much fun and so engaging. I am not BSing you. I can't wait for the next one.
Thank you. And I want to mirror back that compliment to you. I've been able to show up as I am because of you, because of the space and the connection that we already created. So that's an credited to you and how you step in and how you authentically are. I mean, you dropped the F-bomb first, and I was like, sweet, I can curse. So you have initiated so much and will continue to initiate. And I give you full props for, again, creating a space where not only you step in as yourself and create that comfort for us as your guests, but also the fact that it's mirrored and it's honored and it's lovely.
I thank you. I received that as well. I appreciate that. I'm going to have my editor just cut that little portion out. I'm just going to play it on a loop in my office all the time. So I really appreciate that. I would be remiss if I didn't make sure that we finish up by making sure that everybody knows what's the best way to follow you, get involved in your work. How do you want them to reach out to you? Because I do think you're going to get several people. I know several that I'm going to make sure they see this episode when it releases, because I think that they need to get engaged with you from a professional perspective. But how do you want people to engage with you, Mel?
Lovely. Yeah. So I always say you can respectfully stalk me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Instagram, I'm Mel_McSherry. LinkedIn, Mel McSherry. And I always love to invite people to spend time with me. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of practitioners. And yes, you've been listening to me and Steve talk for the last, I don't know how long. And that doesn't mean that I'm the right person for you. So I love to encourage people to schedule a complimentary 30-minute virtual coffee chat with me. No pressure, no sales, just space to ask me questions, to hang out with each other, make sure, we're kosher. And you can schedule one of those at virtualcoffeewithmel.com. Or if you're listening to this and you're like, yep, nope, love you, let's spend time together, then feel free to check out my human design reading at my website, melmcsherry.com.
I love that. I love that. Well, Mel, this has been an absolute honor. Thank you so much for making the time. Thanks for being on the podcast. I know you're super busy and in demand, but this was an amazing conversation. And I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to do it. And guys, we will be back with another episode of the Ripple Effect podcast. But until then, Mel, ripple on.